Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? My YouTube family, thank you so much for being so committed towards learning and consistently watching my videos and sharing all the love and showering us with all the wishes. My name is Imran Baig. If you're watching this video for the first time, I'm a handwriting analysis coach. So what is handwriting analysis? Handwriting analysis is a beautiful way of decoding a subconscious mind of people using the power of handwriting. Are you all with me? Give me a big yes if you're with me on that. So this is what we do. As a part of handwriting analysis, our focus is all about identifying how we can actually make our life more better by understanding more about our own self. Yes, handwriting analysis is a beautiful way of actually identifying your behavior using your handwriting. And we use this as a source of education of self. Why do we need to learn this? Why is it so important? It's a very crucial question to answer. Handwriting analysis is not just about analyzing others' handwriting and identifying about others. No, it's all about your own self. How can you have education of your own self? This is the most sacred education anybody can have, education of your own self. So today, as a series of understanding about what actually handwriting analysis can do and what it cannot do, let's focus on a very important conversation today around your fears and defenses. So let's get started. Fears and defenses is a very beautiful conversation. Before we get on to the defense mechanism, let's understand what actually fear is all about. So here is a conversation about the fears and the defenses. So when we talk about the fear, the four most important aspect when we understand about the fear is the fear operates in two important ways in our life. Yes, it operates in two important ways. And you'll be surprised to know about this. No, I'm not going to get onto the abbreviation of the fear, but I want to tell you how this fear works on our life. Fear can be your biggest limitation. Are you all with me? Fear could be our biggest limitation. Because you fear, this has become your roadblock to every aspect of your life, including your success, including relations, including the way you look at money. And for some of us, fear has actually become our motivation. Yes, people are highly motivated because they are coming from the background of fear. Why do we pay our credit card bills on time? Because the fear is of the extra charges or the surcharges or the interest we pay. Why do we follow rules? For some of us, it's because we get challan for the higher ticket for breaking rules. So can you see that we also sometimes focus on our health, and the motivation for focusing on your health is a fear that you don't want to have diabetes because your mom or your somebody in the family or your parents has diabetes. So can you see that the fear has become our motivation? So type in the chat box and let me know, how is this fear operating in your life? Has it become your limitation? And the way when it becomes your limitation, you don't experience things in life because you fear failing, so you'll never focus on taking any action or learning a new skill or exploring new possibilities. So can you see that the fear becomes your limitation? Because you fear taking the plunge, taking a decision, because you fear that you're going to go wrong, you never take any decision. So you always look for validation, you always look for somebody to validate or support you in taking the decision. But sometimes the fear actually becomes motivated. So whether it is limitation or motivation, it's coming from a very negative frequency, and that is the fear. If you really want to work on your health, the fear is not the right motivation. The fear is not the really approach you need to be looking at. You need to have a bigger motivation, a bigger purpose. That's why having a bigger why is also very important. And this is something which I do when people come to me and they want to become handwriting analysts. My question is very, very crucial. I ask them, why you want to learn this science? Because to be very honest, when I started, applying handwriting analysis in my life, I never had this big why. I was all focused on analyzing handwritings because it was giving me name, fame, and attention. And it used to make me look the smartest person in the room. And that's what I used to, look up to as a handwriting analyst wherever I went. But I found a bigger purpose because I realized this science can actually change somebody's life. And that's how I shifted my complete domain towards just being a handwriting analyst to becoming somebody who can actually help others have a better life by understanding themselves more better. So once now that you understood about the fear and how it operates on you, whether it is from the limitation or the motivation part, to be very honest with you, fear is not really my concern. Yes, I want to tell you this. The fear is not my concern because what happens is the moment you are exposed to your fear, and the moment you realize there is a fear inside of you about certain things, instead of working on the fear, the general human tendency is that we actually start building defense mechanisms around this fear. And that's why most of these self-development programs, most of the personality development programs, you don't get results out of it. You know why? They're focused on, your defense mechanisms, which is basically you have started developing to safeguard this fear. Now, let's understand what are your defense mechanism and why do certain people have certain defense mechanisms. So let's look into the defense mechanism. So when I say the defense, because you had fears, now you started developing defense mechanisms. So what are your defense mechanisms? Have you seen people being critical of everything around them? They're habitually very critical about everything. They love condemning people. They love complaining. And you know what? That's a defense mechanism to safeguard that fear. The fear is they feel a little less about themselves. And not only that, look at the list I have made for you. The critical of others, and sometimes sarcasm. It's fun to be around people who are sarcastic, but you should know that it's a very, very popular defense mechanism. And not only sarcasm, temper. Temper is not only about getting angry. Sometimes people use temper to express how happy they are, how irritated they are, how upset they are, and basically getting excited very easily, happy very easily, irritated very easily. And that also is a defense mechanism. And also irritation. So whenever you undergo any self-development program or personality development program, they are focusing on eliminating this defense, and that makes your fear out and open. And that's why you feel vulnerable. That's why you have a breakdown. And what is important is instead of working on your defense mechanism, you need to really address the biggest thing, that is the fear. And the list of addressing the fear is pretty huge. And you know what? I want to tell you this. It's a very easy way of doing it. That's why one of the beautiful thing about handwriting analysis is that it's not just about identifying things. We can actually learn to work on our own self. Actually, it can actually help us to change certain aspects of our personality so that we can create extraordinary results in our life. So if you're enjoying this conversation, show me some love in the comment section below. And whenever you watch this video, please make sure that you sit and have this little self-reflection about how this fear is really working on you and what are the defense mechanisms you have actually developed to safeguard that fear. You can do this self-introspection, or you can learn handwriting analysis, which will give you a unbiased approach towards what are the defense which you have actually created. So if you're still not able to figure out, Imran, what can actually be a defense mechanism? What are the things which I'm actually using to save myself from the fear, or save the things which I'm using to safeguard my fear? So let's look into this. Are you all with me on that? So one of the biggest fears I have identified looking into people's handwriting is, it's a very crucial thing. I'm sure you might have never heard of this before, but you are aware that this is part of our existence, and that is, ready for it? And that is self-deception. Yes. Self-deception is basically a very beautiful way of lying to your own self. And now you must be wondering, Imran, why will somebody lie to themselves? Why will somebody actually practice, self-deception? So what I want you to tell you is that this is one of your defense mechanism, or it could be one of your biggest fears. So let's look into this way. How do you see self-deception? So you can actually call this as self-deceit also. Self-deceit is basically you lying to your own self. In the name of being positive, in the name of looking at the brighter side of the life, you actually lie to yourself. It's like giving yourself false self-assurance. So I can give you a very simple example. I'm sure you know some of people in your life who are diabetic, who are not supposed to be eating sweets and desserts, and they go to a party, they pick up that one gulab jamun, and they say, एक खाने से कुछ नहीं होता. Like one gulab jamun is not going to do anything. So they end up eating that. Have you seen people who say that, I don't normally drink, but I'm just a social drinker. Whenever we meet, no, whenever we have a gathering, no, I just take a little there. So can you see that? Who are you lying to your own self? Who are you lying is to your own self. So what is important for you to understand is that how is it impacting you? How self-deceit is actually impacting you in many areas of your life. It could be also a student who has never not studied for the exam, not prepared for the exam, but the self-deceit, the lying to himself is that paper will be easy, the invigilator will be a little friendly, no, I can pull this off, I know I can handle that. So this is what we are doing it. And many of us are doing this in our relationship. Yeah, you give yourself false self-assurance saying that, oh, it's just a matter of time. Maybe, I just have to, wait and watch. And this can also impact your relationship. It can also impact on your money because many of us don't take action towards money, whether it is asking your own money back or whether it is about making the right decisions towards investment. But you lie to yourself saying that, no, this does not work. The market is very, fragile right now. So you actually give yourself false self-assurance for not taking action. So can you see that how it has become your limitation? Don't get worried. I know some of my conversation might be little about what you can comprehend about human behavior, but this is what we discuss when we actually analyze your handwriting. It's not about the past, it's not about your future, it's about who you are as a person and how you're handling certain situations and scenarios in your life. Now, let's learn this. How do you see self-deceit in handwriting? So I have two things to tell you before I show this on the paper. I don't teach handwriting analysis in the match the following format. It's not like you write like this, you are like that, or you have this in your handwriting and you are like that. No, you need to have a deeper understanding about how to look into somebody's handwriting. And for that, you need to understand something called as strokes, STROKE, in handwriting, because for us, it's not a letter, it's a combination of lines coming together to form the letter. In the coming videos, you will see me talking about the strokes, talking about how the letters actually come together, how the lines come together to make one letter. So how do you see self-deceit in somebody's handwriting, or it might be in your own handwriting? So let's do this. So we identify this using the letter O, the circle letters in your handwriting, and also the letter A. So what we need to look is, we have to look for the loop towards the left side of the O. So we're basically looking at the loop towards the left side of the O, or it could be the A. So if you want to see how it shows up in a regular handwriting, for example, if I'm writing the word for, so you will see that there's a loop here happening towards the left-hand side. Okay, so it could be this way. You see this here? And you'll be surprised. You might see this in your signature. You might actually see this in your handwriting. And no, you don't necessarily have to write in cursive to have this in your handwriting. You can actually write it or even strike through this. So this is self-deceit. This is how it's visible in handwriting. So the idea here is that, Imran, will I change this and I start writing a clear O, will I change that? That's a very beautiful question. I think, that requires another conversation about how graphotherapy really works. But the focus in today's session was about identify, because most of us are working on our temper because it's impacting your health. Most of us are working on how you can make your personality in a way that, people are comfortable in your presence. So what you need to really understand is that don't work on your defense mechanism, because the moment you start focusing on your fear, all the defense mechanism naturally will fall down. What is important is to face the fear, identify, because this fear has become our limitation. This fear has actually become our motivation. And in either case, it's not really doing well for us. It's not really doing well for us. So take a moment, go back to your handwriting and look into your handwriting and look into your O's and A's and tell me, do you see this in your handwriting? Even if you don't see this in your handwriting, but I'm sure there are certain stories which I just shared with you, you related to that. So what you need to understand is that it's not in your handwriting, it is already there in your mind. And it will not take much of time to come from this to this. Remember, what you think is what you become. And that's how your handwriting also comes from your subconscious mind. So please make sure you remove this conversation from your head and stop lying to yourself, stop having self-deception, this is because this is one of the fears which you need to be really addressing. And in the coming videos, I'll be definitely talking about more such fears and defense mechanisms which you have developed to counter the fears in our life. So thank you for watching this video. And if you really had fun and you took back some learning, you have some realization, do share it below this video.